Perhaps it's because you're a little off-kilter based on a tweet you sent. What's wrong with you? You're the centerpiece of this program.
It was a bad choice.
A stomach ache?
It was
tummy's got to hurt, got an owie.
It was. I had to retire to my private quarters to think about the rankings after Monday Night Football, which the idea of the Niners losing that way with the certain things that happen. Do they stay at 1? Should the Ravens be 1? Should the Patriots go back to 1? Where do the Saints go?
Well,
it was
what?
too much.
Here's what we got. You kept the 49ers at 1.
I crumbled.
Despite losing at home to a team in their own division, the Seahawks, who move up. You see those 2 spots from 6 to 4. The Ravens are all the way up to number 2, speaking to what you were just discussing, Dan, and that is the tough decision that you had to make atop the power rankings.
This is the logic for keeping the Niners at number 1. They were down George Kittle. They lost Emmanuel Sanders. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't play his best game because his offensive line was a turnstile for Jadeveon Clowney. And yet, they almost beat Russell Wilson in prime time, which is very hard to do in a good Seahawks team if the kicker doesn't yak. Well, for those reasons and the fact that they were undefeated going into this game, and when you take the snapshot of the league, to me right now, the Niners are still the best team in football, with the caveat that the Seahawks proved that the gap between number 1 and those other 5 teams is minimal.
One, I would like to say I don't appreciate you saying the kicker yacked, because he did make a pressure kick to put them into overtime.
And it's so sad because the kicker is the most underrated position in terms of sports and how difficult it is, because he did step up Chase McLaughlin, but then he kicked it into the tunnel.
He did. He pulled the Vanderjack.
It's just
I mean,
sad.
it was hard left.
Yeah.
And so I think yak is maybe a little, and granted that has another connotation when you plant that seed in my brain, and now that's wandering down a different trail. Cynthia,
I don't even know what trail you're
down that
talking
trail.
about.
Let's just go neutral field. Neutral field, 49ers versus Ravens today. Who do you take?
Well, is it healthy 49ers?
Everybody's
is George
healthy.
Kittle playing?
Is your stomach
back,
bothering you
Sanders
just
is
thinking
there.
about it?
You know, my stomach ache is still going, actually.
There you
It's
go.
completely
See,
still
They
going.
are. Everybody's healthy.
It's okay to be
Everybody's
human.
healthy. You know, I think I'm going to actually probably have to go with the Ravens in that one, because I think the difference between the Ravens defense is their question mark for me, not the Ravens offense. And the Niners offense is the question mark for me. So those two things together, I've seen a little bit more uptick in the ability of Lamar Jackson to just score quickly, score often, score in multiple different ways. So I think ultimately right now at this moment, because I didn't see Jimmy Garoppolo complete deep passes, big plays are a huge deal, and I haven't seen the Niners do that.
Yeah, and again, you know, I know you alluded to it. I think you did it when we were discussing the show prior to coming on the air, but you mentioned, you know, that it was such a poor performance by Jimmy Garoppolo. He's really just had one good performance this year. This is the quarterback of the team we're discussing on the neutral field. Look at this through 16 starts. Lamar Jackson's got more wins than Patrick Mahomes. He's got more rush yards than LaDainian Tomlinson, a higher passer rating than Tom Brady. You can read it. Yards per attempt, you think of the big arm of Aaron Rodgers and the accuracy of Drew Brees. He is besting each of those players in the category in which they've been the best. And if you ask me, neutral site, 2 very, very good teams, I'm going to go with the guy that's got, you know, the team that's got the quarterback that's playing the best right now in football, save maybe Russell Wilson.
And I get that. Lamar Jackson is having an incredible MVP-like season. But the Ravens aren't a perfect team either.
No.
Their defense has had its share of struggles. Even Lamar Jackson earlier in the season had a couple games that were off. I know he's out of his mind right now.
Yes.
So I just don't think they're a perfect team either. They can be beat as well. If we're talking coin flip, which is how I see 1-2 in the power rankings, I'm saying 53 times the Niners win on a
Interesting
neutral
to pick
field.
that number, 53.
Exactly 53
So,
times.
just to kind of button this up, the one last thing I would say, you know, 4 weeks ago, we were talking about a Patriots defense with a team that was at number 1 that was not just good, but historically good, might find itself in the conversation as the greatest defense of all time. And Lamar Jackson cut at the ribbons. I mean, he sliced and diced that thing apart to a dominant victory. Like, to me, that would make me say, hey, all right, you did it with the Patriots. I don't know why I should think you can't do it with 49ers.
Well, I think that ultimately for me in this one, you have a sample size where he did a non-dominant defense. The Chiefs, they didn't win that game.
No.
You know, so
And they got hammered by the Browns.
And the Patriots, they needed a kind of down game. It's not like it's very hard to go undefeated, as we've seen. So I don't know if I like maybe we're overrating the Ravens win against the Patriots.
That's what
or
we do here, right?
Well,
we
yeah,
overrate,
that's what we do.
overreact in the moment because it's a weekly show. And here, going into week 11, perhaps I am overrating Lamar Jackson. All right, let's get to the second tier. Our second quarter on Power Rankings. Texans at the top. It was a big bye week, of course. 6 teams, I believe, on a bye this past week. So you see a number of them in here, Texans, Eagles. But let's focus on that number 13 team, Dan, because based on what we've seen, and we can do the 16-game thing with Jared Goff, where he's 9-7 over his last 16, and I think his quarterback rating is somewhere in the high 70s. To me, that looks a little high based on an offense that looks like it's got no answers and is dealing with serious injuries.
I get that, and I wrestled with it myself because I did feel like they're more middle of the pack than 13. But then I looked at the teams behind them, and those are all teams with a lot of flaws as well. Listen, the problem with the Rams when you watch them now, and especially against a great Pittsburgh defense, is they don't really know who they are anymore because this was a team that used to, on offense, kind of go through Todd Gurley, and it was so telling. Sean McVay asked after the game, Todd Gurley doesn't touch the ball in the fourth quarter. And yes, it's a whole other conversation if Todd Gurley's Todd Gurley anymore and all that. But when he's asked, why didn't Todd Gurley touch the ball, he said, because that's just how the rotation kind of shook out. Like, it's incredible how much things have changed with that team. And when you factor in Gurley's status in 2019, the offensive line in decline, and Jared Goff clearly not the guy who could rise above those things like a Russell Wilson, this is a team in transition, and I get why they're struggling as much as they do.
You made such a good point about like their identity and who. Last year they had an identity. They were play action. They ran 11 personnel with three wide receivers, and ultimately this season we haven't seen that. Jared Goff in play action touchdown passes. That's what he did last season, and this season it's almost non-existent. Right, more interceptions than touchdowns on play action.
Yeah, I mean, look, not to get too technical and pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but, you saw it start with Matt Patricia and the Lions last year. The Bears, kind of capitalized on that as well. And then in the Super Bowl, what people describe as a 6-1 front where you take away outside zone and force Jared Goff to beat you and make adjustments after that little speaker in his head is turned off.
And Cooper Kupp, where was he in this past game?
Yeah, exactly. 0 receptions.
You've been on this money. I want to give you a little love on this.
He's been right on the money.
You've been on the money with the Rams for weeks and weeks.
So you know what? Let's get off the negatives. Let's get back to the positives, because we have two teams that we did not expect to see where they are right now in the power rankings. Steelers at 12 without Ben Roethlisberger, without Antonio Brown, without Le'Veon Bell, riding that dominant defense. And the Raiders, without much defense at all, riding a balanced offense and perhaps the best rush attack in the NFL. Which one of these two teams do we feel like is better positioned to, A, stay here, move up, make the postseason?
I think both could easily make the postseason. There's a couple of things that have to happen, and they're kind of in control of their own destiny. But when I look at the Raiders and their schedule and like what they've got going on going forward, they're my kind of, I just wrote about it. I'm going to promote here, NFL.com/Freeland. You can go read about how the Raiders are a sneaky team to keep an eye on for a postseason run, in part because some of the other teams in their division haven't performed as well, and in large part because they've kind of won these games that they weren't necessarily supposed to win. They've had close games, and they've won those particular games. And how have they done it? They've been super efficient on third down. They're fourth best third down offense in the league. That's the running and then leading to the passing and short passes. And they really don't need those. Those big plays are forming from yards after the catch. They're not forming from high percentage throws being completed. So they're just keeping it going, getting that rhythm going, and just keeping dominant and efficient on offense.
I think you hit it on the head when you mentioned, look at their division. The Chiefs, we did not suspect they were going to lose 4 out of 5 games, and the Chargers are nowhere near at the level that we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season.
Don't get fired.
And I will not. And they have their next 2 are the Jets and the Bengals. So I suspect this is a team we're going to see move up over the course, of the next 2 to 3 weeks.
I love the Raiders. I think they're such a fun team to watch this season. They're a feel-good story. The Steelers, though, to me, the reason I have them higher, the reason I think they could actually make some noise in January potentially is because that defense has risen to the point where it's as good as anybody in the league right now. There's so many playmakers. Minkah Fitzpatrick's getting all the shine, and he deserves it. But there's more than that. Joe Hayden had an incredible game. T.J. Watt is a big-time star now. Cam Hayward was causing havoc in that game. It is such a well-balanced top-to-bottom defense, and
10 first-rounders will do that.
Yeah, well, absolutely, but it doesn't always work out that way, and it goes back to a thought I was having. When Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded, everyone was like, ooh, what a risky move by the Steelers. They're all in. They could give up a high first-round pick. Good teams stay good, bad teams stay bad. Of course, the Steelers are going to get the better of the Dolphins, and it would not that the Dolphins didn't get anything out of it, but that the Steelers, this is a great trade for them, and it kind of was the missing piece to make everything come together.
And they're playing him in the right position now. Like, they're not playing
Make
in a
his mom was
slot.
right.
He's not box safety. He's not a slot. They're
Mama
putting him back
knew.
deep.
The Texans were at number 9, and that's because the Cowboys were at number 8.
Yelling.
Oh, we got a Caps
and
guy.
that is what a guy by the name of Aiden Texans has brought up. Why? And this is all caps, so you know he's very angry.
Can I read
the
it?
Cowboys above Houston and even in the
Why
top
are the
10.
Cowboys above Houston and even in the top 10? That literally makes no sense at all.
That was, I think, maybe 3 extra L's on your part. So answer the anchor.
Did he use literally correctly? I don't think he did.
No.
I never know. I just don't say literally.
I think we talked about this on the show last week. The Cowboys are the hill that I chose to die on and fight on.
Yeah, and you're dying.
And right now I'm dying a little bit. But here's the thing. Here is the thing. Again, I look at this roster and I look at where they are positional group-wise, offensive line, running back, quarterback, wide receiver, where Amari Cooper is godlike right now. Michael Gallup's a guy on the rise. And the front 7, which is really good. And with Michael Bennett there, it's better. And if you look at advanced...
Front 7, tell that to Dalvin Cook.
All right,
He didn't
okay.
seem to care much about that
Well,
front
Dalvin
7.
Cook is killing everybody this year. But advanced analytics, DVOA, that stuff all says they're still a top 5 team. They just need to go on a run. This is what I'm worried about, Money and Cynthia.
Please. We're all ears here, Jesus.
With the bunny. Tavon
He's
Austin.
still going.
Still going. Tavon Austin calling fair catch is so emblematic of this organization in the Jason Garrett era. They're never bold, right? And you need them to kind of onion up a little bit and start taking chances. They need a Riverboat Ron type Jason Garrett mind switch, because otherwise they're just going to continue to kind of beat themselves, and they've been doing this for years, and you wonder how much longer Jason Garrett sticks around.
I know, perfectly put. Tavon Austin, you will call fair catch no matter what, no matter if there's nobody within 20 yards of you and you're one of the fastest people on the football field.
Garrett shot that down a little bit at the press conference,
Which
but
I actually, to some degree, believe him. It's all in the interpretation. I mean,
Right.
you would like to be able to say, hey, Tavon, you got some wiggle room here. If you see a huge lane, take it.
That's what he tried to say. It's like, don't be a dummy if you have the whole field run. But
you see it says heading south there. That's because that number 9 team, the Texans, headline the conversation we will have surrounding that AFC South that is still certainly up for grabs. That's next.
Tannehill looking, firing over the middle, caught. Humphreys 5, Humphreys end zone. Touchdown Titans! Touchdown Titans! Touchdown Titans! Adam Humphreys, 23 yards, and the Titans lead with 23 ticks remaining.
Oh, the great Mike Keith with the call there. Longtime Texans play-by-play man. The Titans are surging as you see them up 4 spots in our third quadrant of power rankings per the opinion, subjective as it may be, of Dan Hans, whose Power Moves presented by Energizer. We're focusing on that AFC South. Dan, Cynthia, let's go. AFC South, who you got?
I don't know. I feel like you cut me off at the knees with that setup there.
Well, it is subjective.
I'm going to walk.
It is. Look, our power rankings are different. Cynthia's coming along with her Freeland 5, and the next, guess what that is? Even if she attaches a model to it, it's still subjective.
At the knees, baby.
It's still her model. She still puts in the variables and weights the equation.
I know. Real versus feel and all that.
Sensitive.
The Texans are the best team in the AFC South, and I know they're not a perfect team, and I know J.J. Watt's absence will be felt increasingly as the season goes along. But I just love what they're doing on offense this year. I love that their offensive line is so much improved. Laramie Tunsil stabilized that group. Deshaun Watson, while he's not, he doesn't have all day back there, it's a night and day between this year and last year. And that running game, Bill O'Brien's an easy target, it seems, especially because he's Machiavellian with his organization power moves. But the move to get Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde in moves that nobody thought much of, and they're one of the best duos in the league running the football. And I think Watson is one of the truly special players in the league, and that is what rises to the top in a close race.
Anything close, Cynthia, between the Titans and the Jags and the Colts?
The interesting part about the Jags getting Nick Foles back and their defense, then the front of their defense being able to create so much pressure, is that they could, especially this week, they face the Colts. If they knock the Colts off in this one, if they upset the Colts at home, they could be in position to be in a wild card contention, even though they go from 4th to 2nd. Who cares what order these guys are all in? They're all so close. One game separates like almost nothing, right? So if you're missing pieces from the Colts with all of their injuries, it could very easily be the Jags that are a wild card winner.
Yeah, and I'll take up for the Titans, I was able to see the first start of Tannehill, and it's remarkable what a fraction of a second does for a team, and that's the difference. Is Mariota held the ball just a beat long, and Tannehill doesn't. He's a much better decision maker, much quicker decision maker. You see the athleticism. I don't know if you guys heard, but he was a wide receiver at Texas A&M.
Was he?
Yeah, I'm just going to put that out there.
I've never heard that anywhere.
When you go, one of the things when you go on the field and you see the Oakland Raiders offensive line, you realize, oh my God, there is nothing that's even close to that giant in the league. Same thing with the Titans receivers. When you see A.J. Brown and you see Corey Davis and Delaney Walker, who's injured, but Jonnu Smith, their tight ends, and how well they use them, it is a massive group. And then you have a great route runner, pass catcher like Adam Humphreys in the middle of it. It won't surprise me, especially with just the emergence of the health of Jeffrey Simmons and how quickly he got healthy and what a force he is in the middle of that
great.
line. It won't. Look, am I picking them over the Texans? No. No.
What about the
I won't
what
be
about
surprised
the
at
Colts,
all.
though? I mean, we talk about things that
that's
fundamentals, right?
we
Jacoby
don't
Brissett,
know.
if he's coming back and he's healthy, T.Y., there's a lot of missing pieces on that one, but their O-line is as good as it gets.
It is.
So how are we even, it's just amazing.
I think it's just a health.
We
don't know with Brissett. I mean, you could see, Hoyer has not won a game in 10 starts. So it's, that's the deal.
Well, yeah, Hoyer is who Hoyer is. And T.Y. Hilton, who's still an impact player, but maybe age is catching up to him with these injuries. Their offense really misses him when he's not there, and they need him
Zach
to get healthy.
Pascal, not the same.
What's that?
Zach Pascal, not quite the same.
He's not a bad little player, but he's not a big one.
No, not the same.
And that's what's interesting about every one of these teams, all 4 of them, the Jaguars included, is they're all, every layer of defense has good players, so they all kind of have the ability to dominate a game defensively. Saw it against the Jaguars. We obviously know what the Jaguars have up front, and even without Jalen Ramsey. And the Titans, we mentioned up front, Kevin Byard playing safety is the eraser, the ultimate eraser out there. So that's what makes it probably
Malcolm
the most
Butler.
Compelling division in all of football right now. All right, when we return, Cynthia, it's your turn.
My turn, finally.
Your Power 5.
Finally.
A path to the
Jeez.
Super Bowl.
So
Teams
demanding.
that are most likely to win the Super Bowl this year. Power 5.
craziest game I've ever been.
Ooh.
I mean, yeah, talking about a Monday Night Football game, it felt like NFC Championship game right there.
We are underway on Monday night.
Deep is the game. We come out on top. Ball is out. Clowney goes the other way. Touchdown, Seahawks. Russ lays a little dime over the top, and the Seahawks have taken the lead.
They try to throw it back to him. He gets sacked.
The ball's out.
And the ball came out, and it's a touchdown to Forrest Buckner.
6 points.
And Chase McLaughlin to force overtime. He has the distance. It's right down the middle. Tie game. Here we go. Allowed for Hollister. Intercepted. He's out of bounds on the Seattle 45-yard line.
This to win the game for the Niners. The kick is no good. He shanked and left.
So here we go again.
42-yard field goal attempt. And that kick is good. The Seahawks win. And they beat the now once defeated 49ers.
I believe our man Dan Hanzus said that Chase McLaughlin yacked. Way to go.
He
Proud of
did,
yourself.
but
Here are your
I
power
miss it.
rankings, 1 through 8. At least the 49ers are still atop, despite McLaughlin making a kick to put him into overtime, only to miss one in overtime that cost them the victory.
We all
Perhaps.
yak sometimes.
Yeah, hey, look, it happens. Let's get to Freeland's Power 5. Cynthia,
Let's
this
do
is
it.
your look at teams that are going to win the Super Bowl.
Win.
Percentage to win the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Take us through it.
If the
All right.
Patriots win,
I
I
see
am
some.
out of here.
I see some
You're outta
blemishes
here?
and flaws.
You're out of here?
I'm out of the company.
Wait,
if the
you've
Patriots
already
win
threatened to
again.
walk off. Now you're like leaving the
At the
whole
knees,
company.
baby.
Crazy.
Patriots still number 1.
They didn't play a game, so
No.
it's gonna be pretty much the same. It's just who would the matchups be between other teams. So Patriots still number 1. Packers moved up. Saints still number
Who's
2.
the quarterback of the Saints in your projection?
Drew Brees.
Just a guy asking questions.
Okay, you drop one.
That's all.
It's very hard to go undefeated. I don't think anyone's sweating that one too hard.
I don't know. They looked awfully good with Teddy B.
Great.
Drew Brees not throwing a touchdown.
Are you saying
Great.
what I
At
think you're
home.
saying?
Hey, I'm just the guy asking questions.
Saints
Did you
fans.
hear there
That's
were
all
some
I'm doing here.
so-
Why
a
are the
murmur.
Packers up to number 3?
Packers are up to number 3 because they're solidifying their chances of winning the NFC North. That win, and they kept pace because Minnesota won one that they kind of were unexpected, the toss-up with the Cowboys. So keeping pace, making sure that they're staying atop that division is going to be key because you want that bye. You need that bye, and
Sure.
you need at
Wait,
least one
what's that?
game.
Say that again.
Bye.
I want the bye.
Yep.
I need the bye.
You need the bye.
That's what you're saying.
It's better to have the bye.
Okay. Guess what, model?
Yeah, model.
dang.
Why in the heck are the Chiefs at 5 then? Because they ain't getting a bye. I can tell you that right now. So
Yeah.
if you want the bye, if you need the bye, the Chiefs are not getting the bye, yet they're ahead of teams that are going to get a bye, like the Ravens.
All right. Well, they're number 4. First of all, if you're gonna
down,
make
buddy.
fun of the model, make sure you get it right, money.
Hey, even more egregious. Yeah, they're number 4 and they're not getting a bye. Your model yacked. That's what happened. How is
Like
it?
their
Honestly,
kicker.
how are they 4? You just said you got to get the bye, and you got a team that's not going to get the bye.
Look, the Chiefs, when you stack them up and you're looking at, if you're to look at, so we do these to make the Super Bowl. If you're to reach the Super Bowl, they're actually number 2 or 3 rather behind the Ravens. So what
so
you're seeing in
confused.
this winning the Super Bowl thing is because in order to win the Super Bowl, you have to play someone in the NFC.
Okay.
So it's like a small percentage difference. And by the way, I know they've lost a number of games that especially we didn't expect them to. But the Chiefs late season, Andy Reid, they figured out they're getting
Your
their
model
pieces
knows
back
that?
together.
Your
My
model knows that late
has,
season Andy Reid figures it out?
But listen,
This-
do you remember that Colts
gonna
playoff
challenge
game?
the
You remember that
intelligence of your
Colts?
model.
You remember that
Oh
Colts
my
playoff game?
goodness.
I have more stuff on Andy Reid, Bill Belichick.
Get fired
Andy
up,
Reid.
Cynthia.
Oh,
Come back
I'm
at
fired
him.
up. Come on, I'm
Listen,
gonna walk out
I
now.
was-
Let's go.
I hate math.
Still going.
I was told that they need a bye, and now I'm told they don't
Well,
need a bye.
Look,
Let me-
some
let me-
teams can score. If you can score fast, then your ability to
I feel like
overcome
Lamar
obstacles.
Jackson can score
This is
fast.
why the model up here for you money is off
Yeah.
a little bit. To assume that the Chiefs cannot get
Exactly.
a bye still
Thank you.
is wrong because I know they've lost games that they should have, and they have, 4 losses
They've
now?
got 4.
The Ravens lost to the Browns.
but,
This
but they
team-
only have 2 losses.
This team with that
There's
quarterback,
still games to be played.
they could run the table. They have that type of potential.
Dude,
I would not
based
rule
on-
it out.
Based on what you've seen from that, hey, unless
Defense
he's-
isn't as bad as you're
unless
saying.
Pat Mahomes is going to be, it's not good. That defense is not
They
good.
didn't
not
lose
great.
the game against the Titans because of their defense.
They have no back end, and they have not been able to generate a pass rush. I'm going to guess when those two things combine,
They have generated
Oof.
a pass rush in specific games, like
Yeah,
against
Aaron
the
Rodgers,
Packers.
yeah, if Aaron Rodgers, did you see what the Chargers pass rush did against Rodgers? He's the ultimate
They made
hero
the
ball
formula
guy.
for him.
I'm going to
They
hold the
made the
ball an
formula
extra
for
2
him.
beats because I want to hit the big pass that everybody celebrates.
Watch him go 11
Look
and
at
5.
me.
That defense is designed like the Giants' defenses with Michael Strahan, right? It's the same architect of that defense. So they take some risks, and it either pays off or doesn't.
I like that. Cynthia did not back down.
I'm not
Freelings.
backing down. No.
You should
she's
win
not.
the
Doesn't mean I
sunglasses
can't
of
question
victory
the
for
model.
that, Cynthia. Those are
we
the
go.
I'll be over here.
All right,
sunglasses.
I'll be
well,
over here.
you know what?
of
Keep it
victory.
going, Cynthia. We're going to do something called good, better, best.
Great.
We'll let it rest until your
Great.
good is better and your better is best. The way it
Whoa.
applies here, though,
That was
as
a
opposed
that was
to
a tongue
Mary
twister.
Zudok's mantra to me when I was growing up, my grandmother.
Oh, I was like, who's Mary Zudok?
Maternal grandmother. No
Got
longer
it.
with us. Great life, though.
Aw.
Signed out at like 96. Way to go, Mare.
That's where you want to go.
You get to go Defensive Player of the Year.
So glad
for
that I get to
good,
follow
better,
death.
Best.
Got it.
It's
Following
great death.
We
Great.
all die.
Right?
Okay, 96
exactly.
is
It's
good,
coming
yes.
for all of us.
All right,
Our
so
dreams.
I'm
Between
doing
the three of us, probably me the soonest.
I don't know.
Skeletons in the past. Here we go. Defensive Player of the Year.
For good, I have Minka Fitzpatrick, who since joining the Steelers has been the chess piece that they've needed to really just. Can you pass against them? Deep pass? No, you can't. It's like
Can't do nothing.
worse
He's
than a
been
dirt
fantastic.
ball. You might as well throw the ball into the ground because an opposing quarterback would have a higher rating than if you did that if you try to throw into his coverage. So Minka Fitzpatrick,
Good.
Congratulations, you are good.
Who's better?
Better? Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's pretty much the lead win share kind of driver on his entire team. He's making opposing offenses have to like game plan for him and bring extra people to figure out how to stop him. And he's really like the biggest driver of the successes that the Rams have had if you look at into win share kind of format.
And best?
I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't care. You ready? Joey Bosa.
Nick Bosa.
Or sorry, Nick Bosa.
That's all right. I'm sure Joey
Yeah.
appreciates
I'm
the
looking
love.
at the voice of the Chargers.
happens.
Why would I
They both
not
wear
think
97.
Joey? Right, they're just confusing. Anyways, no, Nick Bosa. I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't care any of that.
Yeah,
His
nor should you,
ability,
right?
No, it doesn't say
He's been
that
great.
they're excluded. He at least should win Defensive Rookie of the Year, if not Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I think Defensive Rookie of the Year is locked up. Defensive Player of the Year, you can
Yes.
certainly make a compelling case. All right, it's my turn. Good,
Hey,
better.
can we do
what?
good, better, best, your skeletons? That would be
Yes.
a way better
Yes.
seg.
Or good, better, best other play-by-play
I
people because
cannot.
money knows all of them.
I cannot. Instead, I have been
right.
tasked with Offensive Rookie of the Year, which, by the way, is not nearly as compelling as the 2 requests that each of you made, because it's really Josh Jacobs and, I don't know, a lawn chair and a discarded Christmas tree. Nothing against you, DK Metcalf, but he's been great. And I think you thought about, the physique.
Great's not one of the options.
Spandex All-Star. But the issue is, look at what happened this week against San Francisco, right? The guy had trouble making contested catches. So that's a bit of a concern. But I don't think there is any question that he has been better than anybody could have anticipated. And this is you can go with a number of different receivers. I'll go Metcalf. Better is Kyler Murray. He's going to be great. I fully suspect that he is going to be one of the great quarterbacks in the league. He is getting better every single week. He can look at that. Just the flick of a
awesome.
wrist. That is a 40-yard error in stride to Christian Kirk, threw 3 of those in that game. And then you factor in, A, the athleticism, and B, the smarts. He's the obvious better.
Imagine if they get them an O-line next year.
Yeah. The best, come on.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs is going to rush for somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,300 yards. He's going to be sniffing 1,800 from scrimmage and touchdowns that are probably going to be somewhere near 15. And without him, that Raiders offense is not that Raiders
Nope.
offense. He has been everything that our colleague Daniel Jeremiah, who was really the kind of guy that stuck his neck out more than anybody else in the media when it comes to the media scouts, the former scouts, and said, I think he had him as his 7th player in the draft as a running back that got all of about, 200 touches throughout his college
But that's
career.
better,
So,
right? 200
exactly.
touches kept him pretty fresh.
You're up. Good, better, best.
All
And
right.
you got MVP.
Most
Oh,
valuable
MVP.
player.
Right.
And this, the just the setups is off because calling Christian McCaffrey good feels awful. But it is in
That's
this.
Matt Tatton's fault.
Yeah, CMC. CMC is putting together one of those great rushing seasons. We talked about it on last week's show that he's on pace fantasy-wise to put together the greatest season of all time, besting the 2006 LaDainian season that won everybody a ton of money. But it's way more than that. It's his ability to carry this whole offense, and that's why it was a little bit stunning when he got stuffed at the goal line in that game last week against Green Bay, because he's done it all year long. Better dangerous. Russell Wilson, I know a lot of people have him as the MVP, and it would not be a shame or a crime if he ended up being that way. But I will say that despite how great he's been, he is not changing the temperature of the room in the NFL the way the best is.
You know that pass was on like a 3rd and 17 in overtime.
He's incredible. But you know who else is LaMarvelous? Are we okay with that one? No. Look at that spin. Look at this guy. He's doing it all. Oh, and by the way, when he just did this run that is just insane and beautiful and nobody else can do it, it was on the same day he had a perfect passer rating for the second time this season. His development as a passer is really what's, to me, exemplified why he's the new superstar in this league, why he should be the MVP. And Cynthia, your model disagrees potentially.
Oh, you need to stop talking about that because you know who has the best analytics staff in the NFL?
Oh, the
Ravens.
Well, apparently your model and the Ravens analytics don't get along. There's something going on there.
Gotta win those games. Can't lose to the Browns.
We're not in on
No, I am most definitely not in on LaMarvelous.
I'm not in it either.
And by the way, people keep on saying, oh man, he's as good as Michael Vick. He's better than Michael Vick ever was. He's just special.
Well, we showed you the
Michael
numbers
Vick was
through
special
16
too.
games. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the one that really pops is more rushing yards than LaDainian Tomlinson through 16 games.
That's
not to mention yards per attempt better than Aaron Rodgers, completion percentage better than Drew Brees, and wins better than Patrick Mahomes. Unreal. When we come back, speaking honestly, the Vikings got the big win on Sunday night, so Dan will give honest assessments of Minnesota and a host of others. All right, back here on Power Rankings presented by Energizer. Still going. Here we go. Final quadrant, 25 through 32. Finally, the Bengals find their way to the bottom spot. Dolphins making their way up the ranks. Everybody
Here come the Jets.
Tank for Tua. Blow it for Burrow. No. Winners of 2 games now, and the Jets making their, here come the Jets.
We did it, Dad.
Yes, exactly. Honest assessments. Here we go. Let's get past that fourth and final quadrant, the bottom, the dregs, if you will, and get to some teams that are in that top category.
Okay.
Or maybe ones that might find their way back into the top category. Saints, weird game against the Falcons.
I mean, it was like Black Mirror weird. It was bizarre. I'm still trying to figure out what happened. You watch that game, and the way they were dominated, especially in the trenches, it made no sense. And I still don't know what to make of it. Maybe it's just a bump in the road. It probably was. But that was pretty gnarly bump.
Well, and again, when you talk about, Super Bowl and getting to the Super Bowl, and you think about how much better the Saints are inside their own stadium versus having to go outdoors, not on a fast track. If you think about Green Bay, versus New
Weird
Orleans
stuff
in
happens.
the postseason.
Sometimes divisional games, weird
Right.
stuff happens. You also have like
At home?
one team vying for their coach and their maybe even their like everyone in their organizations. You know, are they going to stay
But
there?
they weren't
Well,
before
and
that
another
week.
chapter in the Matt Ryan versus Drew Brees
Yeah.
saga. You know, and I mean, they typically play some pretty, I mean, you think about it, was what, a Week 17 game between the Falcons and Saints that decided that division at like 7-9, however long,
it's
many
always
years
weird.
ago. So,
Yeah.
Here we go. Honest assessment, Dan. How about the Vikings coming off a big victory over the hill that you said you have chosen to die on? Where are we at with the
Remember, I have
Vikings at
2
number
hills.
7?
You know, and it's unfair. But I also am on Vikings Hill and have been all season. So I was going to win either way on Sunday night or lose either way. It depends how you want to look at it. The Vikings are up 3 spots because I think what they needed was that Kirk Cousins performance in the primetime setting against the good Cowboys team. But really, it was a reminder more than anything else, Dalvin Cook, who you mentioned earlier, that he's the lifeblood of that offense. And I really like the Dallas defense, as we talked about, but Cook is one of those guys that really doesn't matter. He's that special, and I think the Vikings are going to hang around, especially if they can get a home game, you know, in the playoffs, which isn't going to be easy. They're going to be a tough out. They could be a Final Four team in the NFL.
Do you have them making the playoffs?
I do not have them just outside of the
They're
playoffs.
missing the whole thing.
Skull.
I'll have to do that. I'll do that mental arithmetic later, figuring out who's in if they're not.
me to
Honest
tell you?
assessments, here we go. Well, I'm going to assume it's the Seahawks and the who?
We've got Seahawks and actually your Dallas Cowboys.
There you go.
Oh, and you have the Eagles.
See
winning
that
the
works?
division.
Yeah,
There
and
we
I have
go.
the Eagles winning the division.
Although tiebreaker now goes to the Vikings, makes it a little bit tougher. Bills.
Still think it's an easier one.
The likes of Bucky Brooks and Matt Money,
Yeah.
you know, they were riding the Bills, and so
Well,
while
ride
you
them for the next 3 now.
yeah, I know, but you nailed the Rams this year. I feel like I've had the Bills pretty locked in
You
this
have.
season. That they are a middle of the pack team, maybe a little better than that. After just not a good showing at all, the Browns didn't even play well in that
Oh,
game.
they were terrible.
On Sunday, and the Bills didn't find a way to
Nick
take
Chubb
that
played
game.
well. Nick Chubb played well, pretty much.
Nick,
that was it.
but on balance, I didn't think it was very impressive Cleveland performance. The Bills, if you're a good team, you find a way to win that game, and they didn't. And that's why they're
That's a huge
16
one.
out of 32 teams. Is exactly where they should be. And I do not think they're a playoff team, despite a schedule that remains pretty soft for them. Well,
I
the
don't
model
either.
has them
It
out
pains
too.
me to say
Bills
that I
Mafia.
believe I'm joining your ranks. After that loss, that was a big one they needed to win. All right, how about the Bears?
Welcome.
Another team that's not going to make the playoffs.
I mean, you know, 7-9,
7-9.
and that might be generous.
What about this
Ooh,
week
they
against the
stink.
Rams?
Woo.
That's an interesting matchup.
Right?
That's an interesting matchup because the Rams couldn't look more inept. They looked Trubisky-ian.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this game
past
worse
week.
than celebrating Christmas before Thanksgiving?
You never do it. You got to wait until after Thanksgiving. All right. But yeah, I think the Bears are the quintessential disappointing 7-9. What happened to that defense? They struggled to close out even Jeff Driscoll and the Lions on Sunday.
Right.
Trubisky gets all the heat, but it's been a team-wide kind of coming back to earth, and Matt Nagy's got to be. I was going to say he's pulling out his hair, but he don't got
right.
none.
Here we go. I'm going to try something.
Ooh,
See
do
if
it.
you want to
What
follow.
are
You
we
tried
trying?
LaMarvelous. I didn't like it,
Okay.
so feel free to shoot me down.
Okay.
What am I doing here? What am I doing here?
You're digging.
You are.
I'm sawing.
Sawing?
You're
I'm
sawing. Okay.
All right, I'm sawing. And if you guys want to saw with me, here we go. Ready?
Okay.
Cess and West.
Cess
Cess and
and
West.
West.
Cess and West.
West.
See, it's saw, Cess and
I'm
West. Yeah,
with
here
you.
we go.
Wow.
with you.
Wow.
All right, guys, thank you for having us on, allowing us on your wonderful show. I'm Mark Sessler here with Chris Wessling. Wes, I know that you, every week, you put out your positional power rankings, and this week you're digging into the 2020 quarterbacks that might be available to switch teams. And let's start right here. We know that our guy Ian Rappaport, our insider, has mentioned that Cam Newton is unlikely to return to Carolina next season. Do you have a place, a landing spot he may wind up?
I do. This fascinates me. The two biggest names on this list may be Phillip Rivers and Cam Newton, and we might have a which team says no scenario going on here. Whispers and rumblings for years that Rivers wants to finish his career closer to his offseason home in the South. What if he goes back, NC State star in college, goes back to North Carolina with the Panthers? Cam Newton comes out to L.A. for the Chargers, so they have this marquee superstar name to go into their new stadium with the Rams. Who says no in that scenario?
I don't know who does. I mean, I think there's a couple sticking points Phillip Rivers has like 22 family members to move. That's a big cost for the Panthers in terms of just the sheer objects you have to move from the West Coast to the East.
Drive that mobile home all the way across the country.
That could be tough. I mean, does Matt Money Smith say no to hanging out with Cam Newton in L.A. on weekends? I don't think he would say no.
It would up Money's wardrobe, certainly.
It would be weird to see Phillip Rivers in any other type of jersey, but we dealt with that with Peyton Manning, too.
Yeah, and it seems like whereas before it was him kind of wanting out, now we're hearing reports that maybe the team is ready for a clean break as well. They have a run-heavy coach. Maybe they want Rivers out the door.
Maybe a little bidding war between the Panthers and the Titans for Phillip Rivers.
I like that.
Well, I can't wait to read that from you, Wes, this week.
Thank you. Let's talk about your article. We've got the Tomorrow Bot coming out that you have predicted through this computer what is going to happen.
Yeah,
early February.
Yeah, it's basically, the Tomorrow Bot is reporting in from February 3rd, 2020. So it's essentially, if you're the reader and it's on my radar, NFL.com/on my radar, the playoff results. It's hours after the Super Bowl, so massive spoiler alert. And I know that Cynthia's computer is one of the best in the business, but the Tomorrow Bot is essentially a fail-safe future-telling prediction. And there is one team that kind of threw me big time. I know you took a look at it. Is it the same team that you feel kind of upset the apple cart?
Well, it's a team that's ranked 14th in Dan Hansis' power rankings.
Not for long.
And you've got them skyrocketing. Tomorrow Bot has them skyrocketing right up the charts, deep into the AFC playoffs.
It's the Oakland Raiders, and the Oakland Raiders do something I think Dan would like. They march into a snowy Foxborough and upend the Patriots 16-13 in the divisional round of the playoffs in a snowy game that is not that. It's very similar to the Tuck rule, and this is what the robot's telling us. So look forward to that. I don't know if you still need to read the power rankings because we already know how this all winds up, but maybe just read our columns.
I like that idea. You're big on energy, and I could see this Raiders team with the energy they've been playing with getting far.
Like that a lot. All right, back to you guys, maybe for the last time.
That is NFL.com/Wesleyan or NFL.com/on my radar. And since we're throwing them out, NFL.com/power rankings, NFL.com/Freeland.
That's me.
Vanity URL for this guy? No, because
Still
there
going.
is no vanity here.
NFL.com.
That's right. Salt of the earth is
Guileless.
what we got. We got one more thing to come, and that
the
is
best part.
constructive criticism of our man Dan Hansis, who had a stomach ache. Oh, poor
Tommy
Dan,
hurt.
because he had to figure out who to put number one this week.
Tummy issues.
We'll do that next.
got?
All right, back on Power Rankings presented by Long Lasting Energizer. Still going. Here we go. Rankings that make sense. Okay.
Aw.
And
That
some
is so
praying
nice.
hands. So either he's
Michael.
like, hey, way to go, or he's like saying, I'm pray for you. I pray for you, man, Zeus, and what's coming your way. Constructive criticism is when we take to Twitter and we lean on your observations of this week's Power Rankings. Here we go. Red-haired dude says 49ers are number 1. Now, how you can keep the nurse beyond silly. Close this article.
Whatever. You know, you ain't so
Whatever.
bad. You ain't so bad. Rocky 3.
Took the time to
watched
tweet,
it
so he
recently.
probably didn't close the
No,
article.
he read
Just
the whole
saying.
thing. He read every word.
Yep.
And thank you for your patronage.
You want a little nugget from Rocky 3?
Yeah.
How about this? Sly Stallone approaches a just-formed survivor and says, hey, you have this song called Poor Man's Boy, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Do you think you could add a little Another One Bites the Dust and come up with a theme for Rocky 3? And they write Eye of the Tiger, based on a request
incredible.
from Sly Stallone for a song that he wanted because he happened to like this band that he had just kind of heard about from the Chicagoland area, Survivor.
It's awesome.
All right,
Wow.
here we go.
Love it.
That nugget
Great
was
nug.
standing.
I like the Rocky 4 song, too.
Yes, 2 as
Is
a
it
matter of
East
fact.
versus West?
Right.
Oh, man against man.
I'm going
You
to
have
read
to-
this.
you have to be
Warned you if
careful
Seattle
because
wasn't top
you
3,
pay
I'd
for that.
cyberbully you. So here it is. You are wrong. Well done,
That's pretty
Austin.
good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, he did. I remember getting that initial tweet. So I actually respect that he followed
gonna
up and
cyberbully
made it
you.
clear. And I'm not sure the extent of the cyberbullying yet, but I am concerned about it. I am a married father of 2 young boys. I don't need any of this this cyberbullying. I don't need to be doxxed.
Would you like
I
to
don't need-
defend not having the Seahawks higher than you had them? He
Oh, we're
wanted
going to have
them at
actual
number 3.
football conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are a great team. Their top 5 ranking
like maybe one.
justifies that. But they're not a perfect team. If you're watching
there a
all the
perfect
games,
team?
which no, if you're watching all these games, the Seahawks sometimes survive by the skin of their teeth or Russell Wilson magic. I don't think they're a dominant team, but they're a great team.
Much like she said atop the stairs in Rocky 4, you can't win.
You can win.
All right, here we go. Let's get one more. This one from Justin. Very, very good. Very good
Nice.
use. So is that you? Is that supposed to be Dan getting thrown, or is that
Live footage.
an
after the show.
anthropomorphic version of your list?
I don't think
wearing a jean shirt.
That's from Dirty Work, the Norm Macdonald film that some people
Yes.
pound the table that it's called classic. It's a bad movie.
Not a fan. I'm with
but
you.
That is a
100%.
great gift.
I'm with you.
That's the best
All
part.
right,
of the
here we
movie.
go. That's it. That is enough constructive criticism. Dan had a tummy ache, so we're going to take it easy on him today. Thank you so much for
your
tuning in,
tummy?
for participating.
Feeling better?
For enjoying the Freeland 5, the Power Rankings. We'll be back again next week. Hopefully, Dan will feel better about the 1 through 32
you
that he
some
puts
Alka-Seltzer.
together, so he doesn't have to take a tummy.
This isn't the 50s. A man could say when he's not feeling his best.